Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 116 of the Titanforge podcast. I'm Dratnos. Our special guest this week is Undadtv. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me again. What's up, boys?
Yo.
What up?
Yo. This week we have quite a bit to talk about, actually. There's quite a bit that's been happening. So we've had raid testing going on recently. That's been pretty awesome, actually. We did some just earlier today. We tested 4 bosses total, so maybe talk a little bit about that. Got Undatt also swapping to Warlock off of a history of Melee, going back to, I remember the good old days in BFA when you and I were both rogues in the early seasons of that expansion.
Dude, I missed the season 1 rogues from BFA, man. There
Yeah.
was like a squad of us. It's like you, me, Flawless. I was like Rorzy and Riptac were still playing. And then you had
Morning
like a Shine
Wind.
and Selly,
Yeah.
Morning, them all playing on EU. Those are, I loved it, man. I missed that graduating class, I guess you'd call this.
And then in season 2, we all got to play together as well, because every group had 2 or 3 rogues, and so we actually, we didn't have to avoid each other anymore. It was a good time.
It was good.
That should have been illegal. That should have been illegal.
I don't know.
like
I thought it
everybody's
was
rogue
pretty
alts,
fun,
dude.
man.
Yeah, the rogue alts. It was Trell Sneak. You know, everybody. What was that? Yeah, everybody had
Trell,
the stab or the sneak alt. Good times. But there's also, of course, the great push coming up, though, and it is Legion time walking 2 weeks, and then it'll be 1 week when it comes up in future times, which means not only Legion M+, but also the Mage Tower, which has burst onto the scene with instant controversy. Several forum posts about quitting the game unless it is nerfed. And Blizzard responding fairly quickly on this as well. They have come out and said they effectively are going to nerf it, right? They said, we've identified some challenges are more difficult than intended. We will return once we have more information to provide on what changes we have planned. So changes are coming. They just haven't decided what yet to bring those specs more in line with the rest. Tettles, do you want to go ahead and start us off here with your opinion?
Okay, why are you doing this? Okay, anyways, so my thoughts on this are different from most of the other high-end players I end up meeting. I actually end up thinking that, like, not a lot of them, but I do think that there are some very specific outliers for the Mage Tower. And, like, I see that there are, like, cutting-edge raiders or, like, I don't know, fairly high-end players who end up, like, they'll end up taking 3 hours on a Mage Tower. Dratnos, we were talking about this earlier. Dratnos took 2 hours on the Demon Hunter Mage Tower. Friend of the show, Automatic Jack, took like 6 on the Holy Priest. Both Mavi and Thune, I think, took like something around the range of like 2 hours apiece on the Resto Shaman one. And it's like stuff like that. I feel like if you're a cutting edge raider, there's no real reason that the Mage Tower should take even like players of that caliber that long. And so then for me, whenever I see stuff like that, it makes me really worried about, like, so who is this content really made for? Because it's not just made for cutting edge raiders, and it's like super hard even for the highest of cutting edge raiders. So then what does that mean for other players who are trying to do it? And of course, you're probably going to be able to do it on your main, but the spell tome mount is going to be very largely unachievable for a lot of people, just due to not being able to play multiple characters at that caliber. And additionally, the Mage Tower doesn't get nerfed by gear, and so like a lot of the things that were like pretty decent about the Mage Tower towards the end of Legion, in my experience at least, was if you wanted to do it early, and it was kind of the same as like 5 masking Horrific Visions. If you wanted to do it early, and you got like your 5 masks early, or you did your Mage Tower early, really cool. If you wanted to do it late for the appearances and for the Mog and for all that other stuff, that's also cool. But this Mage iteration of the Mage Tower is scaling you down in gear, and it's never getting soft nerf over time. Those are my thoughts. And so I think that some of the Mage Towers that are abnormally hard, like some of the healer ones and some of the other performing ones that are just like really difficult, or that Fury Warrior was also.
No, that was free.
Fury's
Arms was hard. Fury's free.
Arms was tough.
Arms
Fury
hard.
was
Okay, so
very,
yeah.
very simple.
Arms and like Guardian Druid and like some of the healer ones, all of those like seem like they're very difficult compared to a lot of the other options that for some people are like 2 shots even.
Yeah, I agree with you. The discrepancy between the specs difficulties is not great, right? There shouldn't be some that are 2 pulls and some that are 400 or whatever for similar level players on those specs. But I think it would be cool to have a challenge in the game that was legitimately hard, and that the answer wasn't to outgear it and come back in and beat the challenge by increasing your gear to match whatever skill you come in with, right, to take it down. I love the idea of a challenge mode in the game that is just you come in and you have to figure it out, right, and you have to get good enough to beat it. And it doesn't just give you determination stacks or let you come back in 3 months with new items. Now, unfortunately, the Mage Tower doesn't exemplify that, right, in perfect ways, because there are ways to outgear it. It's just not by getting better gear. It's by going and getting random potions from some dumb old content, or items
that.
with like 3 sockets from some stupid raid, or some alchemy item from Return to Cataclysm, whatever, these old items instead. So that's not great from where I'm sitting. Like I would love to have fully templated characters that you don't have consumables, and it's not about like getting whichever thing is scaling best in the weird scaling that's there, and it's just fighting a challenge, and then they can actually tune the difficulty precisely based on what they give you, and maybe even give multiple difficulties, with the hardest difficulty being as hard as the hardest challenges are right now, and maybe only having a very minor reward behind it, and putting the bulky Mog rewards for at a more attainable level for everybody.
Yeah, I think for me it's just like who is this geared towards, and like how hard is this really supposed to be? Because I think that's like the thing that is missed, and for me, part of the problem is like there's no unifying difficulty between all of the Mage Towers. Some of them are like really fucking easy, and some of them are really fucking hard.
I will say that like the level of challenge that like takes me 2 hours to do a single player challenge in World of Warcraft is unique among things in World of Warcraft, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I think it is good. I had so much fun doing that, and I do not have fun doing Island Expeditions or Warfronts or Torghast, which is single player content that lacks that level of challenge, right? And so I really liked I loved the one that took me 2 hours, and the ones that you 2 or 3 shot were, okay.
But in my mind, I think it's fine that if it would get nerfed over time, or if it was like, okay, if it would get nerfed over time and if it was active more frequently, but as it currently stands, it's not going to get nerfed over time, and it's only available during Legion Time Walking.
Like I think it would be really great though if they actually did hit a good permanent balance for it, and it was just there as like like the proving grounds were back in MoP, right? Where it's just like you go here, right, and you have to do it, right? And it's not something that you eventually outgear, right? It's something that you eventually get, figure it out, or don't, and the reward is not important to your player power. You don't need it to do the rest of the game.
I think I agree with pretty much everything you're saying, Dretnos. I think like stretch goals in this game, to an extent, don't like exist in that they stay the same difficulty all the time. Like I think that was one of the really good things about Sire, right? Is that they didn't nerf Sire for a long time, and it made like the feeling of later cutting edge guilds getting there and killing him like so much more rewarding, I think, than most of the guilds that have killed Sylvanas later on. At least I'm assuming, right? Like I don't have that perspective, but I would assume that coming into Sire not nerfed 3 months later, getting the kill is much more rewarding than coming into Sylvanas 3 months later, nerfed like 4 times and getting a kill. And it's the same thing for the Mage Tower, especially with it being something that is scaled. You're not going to outgear. You're not going to have a way to just cheese it. Well, I guess there's some ways you can cheese it, but not having a way to just completely overpower the challenge, I think it's good for the game. What I think the biggest issues with the way they released this is, one, no templates. I agree with you. Templates should have been a thing. It's absurd that it's just finding which pieces of gear scale the best to make your character the strongest, like slapping Mark of the Hidden Satyr on old necklaces, Crusader enchants on weapons and stuff like that. It should have just been like not possible. I don't know. Like it's not like they don't have the tech for that. We used PvP templates in Legion in the expansion that this happened. We had templates for content that existed. I think that was a big mistake, and I think there was, I don't know, maybe people, I don't know if this is Blizzard's fault or the community's fault, but the perception of how difficult this was going to be before it came out, I think a lot of more casual players resubbed specifically to do this content, not realizing that this content was not within their reach week 1, maybe not even week 2, because a lot of people's memory of the Mage Tower is during Antorus in 7.3 coming back and doing the Mage Tower with 50 item levels on it, and it just not being very difficult, because many people tried 1 or 2 times week 1 and were like, all right, well, I can't do this. I see you later. Like week 1 Mage Tower back in the day was like prestigious, especially the tank challenge. The tank challenge was way overtuned compared to the other challenges back then.
Except for
And if you
Guardian,
finished
you had
those-
Luffas.
Yeah, that's you just ignored me.
You can stand out of the
basically
circle the
my
whole time.
entire mechanic. But people remember the Mage Tower differently than what it was week 1, and I think this replicated the week 1 difficulty pretty well. I think that there was just a perception of what this was going to be that didn't match what it ended up being, and I think that's the biggest flaw. But I don't think that's a flaw in the content, to be clear. Like I think that's just like the way it was presented and how people expected it to go down.
I agree with that. I actually do agree with that, and it comes down to expectations. And it's like, should this be achievable by most players if you put in a decent amount of time? And my answer to me is I think it should be.
Well, I think it's nice to have content that time isn't enough to beat. Like I think it's nice to have content where it's just like, you know, you actually need to.
Yeah, you have to figure this out. Like,
it's not just like pull it enough times, you know, come back with enough gear. But I think that maybe different difficulties would have been a good way to do that, right? Like easy, medium, or hard, but call them like hard, ultra hard, giga turbo hard, so nobody feels bad. And then I will also say it is jarring to go in without your Covenant abilities and stuff. Like the especially for something that would be in my ideal about like developing a real mastery for the class, it is weird to be playing this like stripped down version of the class with like a very different feel than the actual version you play in the rest of the game. And I get why they're doing that, right? I think the idea is to make it so that it's safe from one expansion to the next. But I feel like just the natural changes that a class gets from one expansion to the next are already going to kind of brick this and are already going to mean there's going to be huge balancing swings when the first, you know, Legion time walking of 10.0 rolls around. That means that some specs will have it really easy because they have a new, you know, effect. They can now reflect some spell or whatever, and some specs are going to have it really hard because they lost their stun. And so I already think they're in trouble with that, even with disabling all the Shadowlands borrowed power.
Man,
we'll
they just gave us our Legion characters. Like you just zoomed in, it was just like a Legion template with full artifact weapon.
A Legion legendary.
You were able to choose from some legendaries, and it could have been so cool. It obviously, like, I'm enjoying it. I don't want to. By saying that, I don't mean that I'm not enjoying the Mage Tower. I think it's awesome, but it could have been like the event of the fucking like last 5 years. You know what I mean? Like it could have been insane.
Best thing since the first time Mage Tower came out.
Yeah.
So when I did in Legion week 1 as Brewmaster, it took me like I think 60 or 70 attempts because it was so hard. And then I walked in this time expecting it to be a huge challenge again, you know. And I did all the tank challenges back in the day as well, but this time I walked in and I did it in 3 tries, and I was like, oh my god, that was so easy compared to my experience with Legion. I wish it was harder. So I actually had the opposite experience that most people had, but I know some classes had it really tough this time, like Prop Pally and Guardian Druid compared to back then. But also I did it on Havoc in about 3 hours a couple nights ago, progging it, and I killed it on the very last GCD I was alive with no space left in the room, with my life being saved from darkness. So I think that was like perfectly tuned for a challenge. It took me 3 hours to do on an off spec that I don't play right now, and I think it would have taken someone on their main like 40 minutes to an hour if they're really good at Havoc, as an example.
Flaming Dratus.
It's, you know, I was lagging.
Oh, did you use some? Oh,
well,
I see.
Also, I got his luck. Dude, I haven't done the Destro one yet. I've put like an hour and a half into Destro and I haven't killed it, which I think makes me banned from playing Destro ever.
Bro, I'm like 6 hours into the Resto Druid one, man. I can't. My brain doesn't function.
I did the Resto Druid one.
I'm having so much trouble.
The second time the Mage Tower was up, I did the Resto Druid one, and it was so hard back in Legion. That was the hardest Mage Tower I've ever done. Was that one? I think I spent like 12 hours in there one day.
We're getting it. We'll get it tonight. Sorry.
Yeah,
I did 100%. Mistweaver yesterday.
For sure.
Mistweaver was super fun with I think you've gained sweep and ring since Legion is Mistweaver. Same with Brew, but in Legion you had to pick either one or the other. And so it was nice to have that extra tool for phase 1 as Mistweaver, dealing with all the knife dances and fixates from the ads.
Oh, and you have 30-second para now too, right?
Yeah,
Short para.
Helps a lot.
Man, maybe I'd need to walk in there on Mistweaver.
I've heard Mistweaver is the way to get the healer one if you do, like, if just based on the relative difficulties of them. But Yeah, I'm not sure.
Also heard Holy Paladin was not that bad, and Rest
Oh
of
yeah,
also
Holy
not that
Valley.
bad.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, I have definitely enjoyed the Mage Tower being out. I think it's been very cool, but I do it does feel like it's, you know, the highest potential of a thing
It's
they've
very
done recently, and
polarizing.
it's not really hit there.
I think I do. They have to stop this bullshit where you're cheesing it with Seder and stuff. Oh my god, man.
That's
that
yeah.
was actually
I hope they
so
do that with how
cringe.
they nerf it. I hope they nerf it by like disable all consumables, disable all sockets, and take 40% health off of the mobs or whatever, whatever amount compensates, and then some, to make it feel fair.
I don't know. I think the more I think about it, I'm okay with content existing for not everyone. Like it's I think it's okay that, like, yeah, there's a transmog set and you're not going to get it. So sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's fine. That hasn't existed in the game for a while. You can always go back and get mythic sets. You can always go back. I guess PvP sets are one of those.
Yeah, there's the gladiator mount, the gladiator
The elite
title,
set.
the elite
The
set.
elite set. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
this is like a more PvE centric thing that not everybody gets, and that's, I don't know. It's not existed, I feel like, for a while. I guess you say Fame Slayer titles.
Yeah,
Maybe Cutting Edge has that prestige. I guess I don't know. I perceive the scene from like a way different perspective, because like Cutting Edge just like means nothing to me. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess maybe that is what
But-
a lot of the community strives for, and is like something that's out of reach for some people, and they feel like another thing being out of reach is not fair. Like,
I don't know.
you know what I mean?
The Mage Tower is casual content is how I view it, but like some people don't view it as casual
it?
content.
well, it's the kind of
That's
content
the
that you
thing.
can do on a casual timeline, right? It's you don't need to farm mythic gear, you don't need to, but you know it's hard, and the game doesn't have much in that is hard and doesn't require grinding a bunch of easy stuff to do, right? Like that's you have to go and do Korthia if you wanna get world first, right? But you don't have to do Korthia to do the Mage Tower challenges, which are really hard.
I
Or quite
guess I'm
hard.
curious what makes it casual content. Like what decided that the Mage Tower is casual content? Because I don't have that perspective at all. I don't think it is casual content.
Oh man, that's a tough question. I think it's because the reward is what it is, right?
Because it's a transmog
And-
reward.
Well, also how it was structured back in Legion. I think that's why it comes across as casual content to me, is because of like what the reward is and how it was structured back in Legion.
Man, on launch on Legion, you were farming crystals in Tumus Argeris for more attempts. Like, you were spending all this extra hardcore time. Week 1 and 2, half the challenges were just like done by 5 total people per spec. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't casual content on release. You just got more gear, and then
Over time
you
it
weren't
was
playing the
casual.
content. You know what I mean? So
Over time, it was casual content, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's
for
the
sure,
thing.
for
Is
sure.
is this in Legion? It was that sort of thing where it's like the same as Mythic Rating, right? Where it's like, hey, if you killed Sylvanas on week 1, okay, you're an Echo, right? But if you killed Sylvanas on week 40, there's a bunch of like even in the next patch, right? Like you could still get the items and stuff, but and you can still get the mount, but you're not like it becomes much easier over time, right? The Mage Tower had that in Legion, and it doesn't have it this time. And I think it would be cool to have something that doesn't have that, but I understand that is a very different thing than the rest of the game. But I think that's a strength, not a weakness.
I wonder if there would be less negativity if we knew it was going to be available all the time. And
Yeah,
it wasn't
that's-
just like a
Yeah.
2-week period every 3 months.
It's
You
only
know what I
one
mean?
week
Like,
as well. The
maybe-
next time, like, whew.
Yeah, I wonder
Ooh.
if the general perception of it would be different, because it'd be like, you know what, I can practice this, I'll get to it. I don't have to fit like 100 attempts into my schedule where I get to play an hour a day for
Yeah.
a week. You know what I mean? Like maybe that would make people feel a little bit better about it.
And a lot of it too is that you have to like do all. Okay, so not you have to, but I think a lot of it for people is you have to do it on other classes and specs that you probably don't play that often. And so like if you got the mount or you got the reward from playing like your one spec, your main in isolation at its highest level, I think that to me that would feel a little bit more fair. But then whenever you're asking people to play 7 different specs, that's where I think that I start to get lost, because like, I mean, if I spent enough time, I would eventually be able to do it. I'm actually just not that great at multiclassing though.
I don't know. I think that a prestigious reward that is like you know, here is this very difficult set of things, right? Mastering 7 different specs to earn this, like, I think that's
Is
sweet.
this where this should come from, though? Is the Mage Tower where that should come from?
It's the only
Why
place.
not, though? I
Yeah,
think so.
like
Okay. That's
there's
fair. I mean,
no
it's
other
fair.
place in the game for that to be rewarded or looked at, right? Every other form of content in the game, every other difficult, challenging, exclusive thing becomes casual content over time, right? Illidan Storm Rage, unbelievably exclusive, difficult content, and you can now walk back and go and one-shot him with your auto attack, right? That's true of like every single thing that high-end raiders had exclusive for a while, right? And I don't know. I think Mage Tower being like that as a ongoing thing would be. But I will say the 2 weeks and then 1 week thing dampens my enthusiasm both for the Mage Tower and for Legion Mythic Plus by quite a bit. It's like I don't know if it's too late to go back on, but the whole time walking paradigm, I would love to see go back to the drawing board and rethink how we want to take all this great old content and have it continue to enhance the game. Because right now, like, all of the like all of the time walking raids, time walking dungeons are adding basically no value to the game for me, and I think they could if it wasn't on this kind of if it wasn't implemented in this way with this, especially with the 1 week thing.
Yeah, the timeline. I mean, regardless of the timeline, the Mage Tower to me is always going to be a prestige thing because you literally have to use every button on your spec to do the challenges.
I love that.
It's a mastery of the spec, and
Yeah.
almost all of them are tuned to the point where it's very difficult too. So I think it's like a aspirational thing. You know, eventually I'll complete the Mage Tower when I'm good enough at X spec when it comes around the next time walking week. I think my beef with it is just that it's around too little, just like everyone else said. I think a 3-month gap or whatever it is between each Mage Tower coming around is too much. Maybe keeping it around for a month at a time would be a lot better to give people more of a chance to do it with their IRL schedules. But otherwise, yeah.
I think it's good in the sense, though, like overall, regardless what you feel about the Mage Tower, it's good in the sense that Blizzard is starting to get back to their roots where they just steal ideas from other games and make them better. Like Final Fantasy with having old content be scaled and you can do this forever and it'll still be challenging and fun. Because that's like when the game was the best is when Blizzard was yoinking ideas from every other like little rat MMO that would come out and they would pick whatever the best thing was about that game and they would put it in WoW and they would make it better. And that was just like, that was always the strength of Blizzard with WoW. And I don't mean that as like an aside, like, oh, you don't have any good ideas. No, you're really good at making the good ideas better. And that's what always made the game great. So
yeah, I think that's a great take. All right, we'll talk a little bit about Legion M Plus and the Great Push, but first, we have our Tip of the Week segment. My tip of the week is that due to the beautiful Mage Tower, a lot of old consumables have spiked in price on a lot of realms. Items such as Potion of Unbridled Fury, Abyssal Healing Potion, random trinket. There's some trinket, some alchemy trinket. So what I would say is level 0 easy way to make some gold is just log on to all your old characters and go through all their consumables that are in their bags and bank and put them up in the auction house right now, and there's a good chance stuff is going to sell that would never sell normally and is going to sell for like 20 times the price that it would normally have as well or more. And then level 2 on this, or level 1 or 2, is actually go and craft some Unbridled Furies or whatever. Now it's the time. Go and do your BFA herb routes to get the herbs to do that. You can actually probably get some sizable gold in a way that you normally can't from that sort of gathering and crafting.
Yeah, I think I bought like 10 Unbridleds for 15,000 gold. Something ridiculous.
Yeah, they were going for like 5K on my server.
Holy fuck. Wait, are they actually that OP?
I don't know. I sold them. I'm not finding out. I want the gold.
I don't know. They didn't seem to do that much on my Unholy challenge that I was doing earlier, but we'll see.
Trell, what is your tip of the week?
So mine is for anyone multi-classing that is going to do these challenges or is looking to get into that kind of thing. What you should do is use macros for your big burst moments because you're not going to be very comfy on these classes. And this is kind of a good multi-classing thing in general. But use a macro like having drums, your major cooldown, your potion, your trinket all in one button. So you don't have to worry about where they all are on your bars at that specific moment. Because if you do, you're going to likely like freeze up and lose half a GCD or 1 GCD just trying to figure out what all you're pressing. You know, maybe you lose 1 attempt trying to figure that out. but it's good to use
If-
macros for just this.
If you macro drums into your cooldowns, people will definitely like you.
Yeah, just keep it that way for your keys.
Well, definitely take it off after the challenge. Don't do that outside
Yeah,
the challenge.
you have some real estate where your covenant ability button normally is, and your signature ability, so you can put some stuff there. You can also macro to target the name of mobs in the challenges as well. Like if you're doing one of the challenges and you want to fear the Sonic Scream cast every time, you can make a macro that will cast that at that target and not have to like click on it. So
That's true.
definitely you can make them easier with macros for sure. All right, Data. We allow guests to do a tip of the week as well, though it's not required. So if you have one, now's the time. Otherwise, we can go to clip of the week.
I didn't have one, but Trell gave me an idea, so I actually do have one now.
That's how they often develop.
When you're trying the challenges on a class you don't play normally, just take all the passive stuff to start, and then when you get to like all the talents that are passive, because you're not going to hit those buttons anyway. And then if you get to a point where you're just like, oh man, I wish I had bash here, like then you just swap to that. Like, but start with, because you're not going to hit them. You're not going to. I started the Resto Druid one. I was like, all right, what are the perfect talents? Like, all right, I'll take this and this and this, and I hit like 3 of the buttons the entire 10 minutes I'm in there. And then I swapped later as I like progressed through. So start with the easy shit and then move your way up.
Yeah, the left row strategy. All the left talents are always passive,
classic.
so you can just whoop, go right on down. All right, Tettles, what is our clip of the week this week? Do we need sound for this?
No, this is a banger. It's actually
Okay.
kind of laggy at the beginning, but it's something that is very interesting. So apparently, after you kill, oh god, I almost called this boss Artificer.
Dealer Zaeva? Zaeva?
Yeah, Dealer. Yeah.
Dealer's
After
Zaeva.
you kill Dealer, you can use your portal that you get from the +20s to zone out of the instance, and then immediately rezone back into the other side, and you end up like outside of Ardenwild already, and so you can save a lot of time from having to like portal back and then run down the hallway and stuff. You can save somewhere around 30 seconds if your computer is slightly better than the one in this clip.
Epic.
Wow, that is very cool. Another way that these elitist players with their +20 portals, the rich get richer, right? You know, how are you supposed to even time a 20 key without this sort of time skip? It's
Petals, you're being
impossible.
debunked in the chat, man. What's going on?
What did I say?
Oh
What
yeah.
happened?
You also have to have someone that's fast run through and trigger that checkpoint, so that everyone else can
Let's
do
see.
that.
Okay.
Because otherwise,
so-
you just zone it back at the dealer.
Somebody zooms through and updates the checkpoint, and then you zone back in.
Well, that's not even worth then. You may as well just fucking hit the portal, right?
Well, it can be if you have somebody zoom ahead, right? Like somebody with
Yeah,
sprint or
a
something.
druid player would say that. It's not even worth, man. You're just like every other
Like-
class is 30 seconds behind you, man.
Yeah,
No matter
catform,
what, like
sprint,
shut
right?
up.
Hey,
Get
warrior,
mad,
warriors
little boy.
and mages.
Keep fucking waddling, Warlock, man.
All right, let's move on to talking about Legion Mythic Plus. Has anybody here had the opportunity to do Legion Mythic Plus on the live servers?
I've pugged a couple.
Ooh.
I've not done very much. I've pugged a couple 14s.
Yeah, I've been mostly doing
That's
the
about it.
Mage Tower myself instead of a lot of Legion M Plus. How have the
I did Mage
14s felt? Have they?
Let's see what I do. I do a Nelths, a Court, and did I do anything else? At Nelson Court, felt good. I don't know. I think there's a lot of mechanics that are like on the tank to be alive, and they're not doing so well at that right now. is something I don't know. The 14th is kind of hard to tell because stuff's like it kind of dies too fast to really like see things. But one thing, nobody in my group understood how the fell devastations worked on the trash and court, the enforcers. So
The lining
you had
that?
the LOS,
Yeah.
you tank them at the corner, and you have to line every cast, or you're just doomed.
Oh
So
yeah. Forgot about that.
yeah, we died a couple times.
You just
That-
healed through
that's- That's fine. Nobody knew to click on the. Nobody knew to talk to the people that gave the clues at the end of court. I talked to all 5 clue givers while my team's just like running, like not doing anything. Like they just like weren't doing anything. So people don't know about that yet. So that's the case. Also had a demon hunter in the group, and he didn't know about the spectral sight tech and everything.
Oh,
so.
man.
So there's a lot of like little things that I think we forgot that made these dungeons really cool and obviously made them easier that people now don't know about. Like I think a lot of the Mythic Plusers these days are not Legion gamers. Like a lot of people that live in Mythic Plus are BFA babies. So
That's true.
they missed out on this stuff. So pugging has been interesting, put it that way.
Yeah. Good, Joel.
I know they've changed a couple things. I know, like Black or Cold, I heard count has been added significantly to where you have to pull the set at the beginning. Everybody used to skip the entire first
No,
wing.
man.
Oh,
I don't know how
I
much
never
they
heard
did,
that.
but yeah, I've heard that from several people. And I don't know if they changed count in any other dungeons, but Blackrock, they like really want you to pull the entire dungeon now.
Whenever
That's
we
so
tested
weird.
it was not like that. That is fucking cringe, though, if that's actually true.
Yeah, that's like turning it into or Shadowlands style of count where you got to pull almost every single mob to complete it.
Yeah, because that dungeon
Well,
is
isn't
quite
usually-
linear.
Yeah.
Oh, Nels, the last boss is like bugged, I guess. He's you know the Magma Wave cast that you had to hide behind the crystals that you spawned to not
Yeah.
die in the last boss. So when he gets to that ability, it starts channeling immediately. Like there's no grace period for melee or the tank to run away. It just as soon as it starts, you start getting plowed for half your HP a tick. So you have to tank him like directly next to the pillars, live one tick, and the melee has to get like out before the second tick or they die. Very weird.
Huh.
Did the
That's
first
great.
boss in Nelths feel like it was spawning skitterers more often than it used to as well?
I don't remember how shitty those overlaps were. I felt like the overlap was always shitty, where one spawned right before
Yeah.
the shatter back in the day. Like I think that's
Okay.
how it was. So you were almost guaranteed to have one up all the time. You just need to make sure that everything else was dead or you wiped. But I only fought the boss once, so I guess I couldn't really tell, but it felt fine. I think
What did you think about the seasonal affix, Infernal?
it owns.
Yeah,
It's
I
actually
love
the
it
best
now.
part. It's
Yeah.
the best part, man. Especially because it's like it's easy enough that you could just funnel it, like you could just funnel damage on the boss by like fighting it on the boss as well. I think it's really sick.
I love how they changed it as well, because on beta, on PTR, it was you had to soak swirlies that spawned during the mini boss encounters, or else Infernals would spawn, and that was bad. And now it's Infernals always spawn. You kill them, you soak the swirly, and you start dealing damage to stuff near you.
Yeah.
And that is just so cool. It's such a great way to
I like that.
make it
That's
feel
cool.
good to do them. Yeah.
No one knows how that works, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm the only man soaking them in. in
That
my
means you get to do
group,
all the
no one
damn.
has any idea how they work. I also don't think the damage shows up in details. I was like looking for it. I don't think it shows up in details.
Yeah, it applies a damage taken increase to targets, so you're going to be
Oh,
spreading the
okay,
love
okay.
around as well, which is unlucky. You are not alone, though, in being somebody who has to do the Legion Mythic Plus. I guess you don't have to, but there are some people who do. They are the Great Push players, because we know that there are going to be Legion dungeons in the Great Push. And so we've had 6 teams qualify for the Great Push based off of times in Proving Grounds last weekend. They are Method Sheesh, Echo Guardians. So Method Sheesh is like, that's Andy Brew live key push team. Echo Guardians,
Yeah.
which is half Echo, half Golden Guardians. That's like JPC and now Wombo Combo. Aster Y, Mumbo Jumbo is how you pronounce that apparently. We've been told that's how it's pronounced by players on it. Bone Dust and then Incarnation are the teams there. So Incarnation sneaking in 6th place. And in order to do this, to get into this, you had to do a 28 Mists and a 30 Plaguefall to qualify. And the best team, Method Sheesh, was able to do one better in both of those. Those Proving Grounds are rough, though. Undad, you did some of the Proving Grounds, right, for a while. How were those dungeons, and what was the like level of difficulty for pushing in the affixes they gave you?
Well, Tyrannical Mist sucks. It's just the least fun thing to do. You just a third of the timer, half the timer is bosses. Like with how long the bosses take, 50% of what you're doing in that dungeon is bosses, and you have to fight the first boss. You just you have to fight the first boss. That's like enough to like I don't know. We we found we kind of figured out we weren't going to get 27 done, so we didn't venture into playing Fall once we made that realization. I don't know. Inspiring's annoying, but you got to put it somewhere. I think the affixes actually were okay for Plaguefall. I know on live keys, Sanguine Necrotic is just turbo. Just you never want to do that. Like nobody plays on those weeks, right? But it's a little bit different on Tournament Realm when you just play whatever covenant. Well, I guess you can play every covenant on live now, but having access to Dwarf makes a big difference.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
dwarf
be able
and
to
file. It's
yeah,
it's like a
Dwarf
world
file
of-
and having access to double pally just on a whim, like even if you don't have those characters available on live, makes it a lot different. So I think the Plaguefall was probably more fun than the Mist for most of these teams. We just
Yeah.
didn't get there because we didn't. We got walled off at Mist. I'm excited to see Palbrew and Co. in here. Nothing against the teams that have been competing in this stuff forever, but I'm kind of like bored. I want to see new people, right? Like I want to see
Yeah.
fresh faces and like new teams coming up hungry to like qualify and show what they got. Whereas like all these other teams for the past like 4 to 5 years, with the exception of like obviously people like Onesie and JPC are new in Shadowlands with pushing in this stuff, but most of these teams are players that have been playing since like Legion MDIs, right? Like most of
Incarnation
these
hasn't.
guys.
Incarnation is also fairly new.
I guess that's true. Incarnate is new. I guess I don't consider them new just because I've known most of those guys for so long. But
Look
I
at
guess
this
to
team
most
here,
people, they are new.
Mumbo Jumbo of
Yeah, dude, this is just like people that have been owning for 6 years now. In minutes,
all
you
over
know
the
what I
world.
mean?
Though we
Like,
got what Skylark from Australia, right? Jeeth from America plays on EU though. Dr. J EU, yeah, Baseline and Trill in America. That's an incredible team all over the world.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, I made
Dr.
a
J coming from the tallest building in Tokyo.
I made a picture of this. Hang on, I'll show. This has never been seen before. I will debut a picture I made here on there. This this is some
Bro,
art that I created.
Kratos asked.
I tried to get
"Yo,
them
can
to
we
use this
please
on
put as
broadcast,
their logo. Yeah.
Oh my god.
oh, it's so good, man.
but they didn't want to for some reason, even though it was really funny.
Oh, it is so good.
I spent 5 whole minutes cropping that as well. So
Nice.
messed up.
I'm also
So I'm excited. I'm
about
rooting for
that.
Bone Dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited about that team for 2 reasons. Like one, they're the rookie team, and 2, they have the Auspex tank, the Brewmaster. Just because I'm a Brewmaster player doesn't mean anything here. I think it's actually a good pick for Tyrannical Mists. I think it does a lot of damage in that dungeon.
Copium.
So maybe they can beat other teams there.
Copium.
Yeah, it's interesting because we know that there's the Legion dungeons in there, so the teams have been practicing in those, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that affects the competition this time. Because if you think about like the level of precision that the Shadowlands dungeons have now, I feel like getting an extra like 2 dungeon levels out of playing better in Court of Stars is going to be easier than doing it in like Plaguefall, right? Or like Necrotic Wake, right? These dungeons where they're already so close to 100% potential. I feel like it's much more below that ceiling in the Legion dungeons, especially with like, only a couple of days of practice time really in them, plus whatever in PTR. So I think those are going to be pivotal in there.
I think I is gonna be so cool, man. There's so many different ways you can pull I. Like I is like for me,
Yeah.
like the dungeon. Like that is the Mythic Plus dungeon for me. If I were going into the next expansion, I'm a Blizzard developer and I'm trying to make the new dungeons and make them fun for Mythic Plus, like what I objectively think is good. I would be my model for like you have a million different ways you can go. You have like a first boss, and then the next 3 you do kind of whatever order. There's like weird skips to get to stuff ahead of time. There's a lot of random ass trash you can just go get if you want to change your route. I think that's like what makes Mythic Plus cool. That's always been like what got people interested in Mythic Plus is being creative in how you routed the dungeon, and I exemplifies that like better than anything. So I can't wait to see what teams do in there.
Yeah, I have Eye and
Oh, they're gonna do-
Freehold in that tier.
They're gonna do the boat
Yeah.
skip.
Yeah, the boat
Classic
skip
boat
is
skip.
very good. It is a good skip.
That's
Dude, do you
It's
think
toxic.
anybody's gonna take the cave route? Remember in Legion MD?
No, I do
Don't
not
go
believe
through the
anybody is going to take the cave route.
go through the
that shit is
cave.
bad. Dude, I remember back in Legion MDI. So in Legion MDI, you
Who
had
was it?
comp
Who
lock.
was it that did it?
It was my team. Okay, it was my
Was it
team.
your team?
No. So back in Legion MDI, you had comp locking, and there were only warlocks and moonkins that could get up on the ledge, right? Or warlocks and druids that could get up on the ledge because you either needed wild charge or you need warlock gate. And the limit composition that they ran did not have a druid or a warlock, and so we intentionally picked Eye of Ashara into them, and then they were like, what the fuck is this? And so then they had to go around in the cave, and it was just like the slowest shit ever.
Dude, I remember it was so fun. I was just like, oh man, this is sick. This is so cool. Maybe they got some crazy tech. and then it
It
was
was
just
bad.
like, nah, dude, we
It
don't have a
was so
turret
bad.
warlock.
All right, let's see. We do have a take on the Legion experience here from Andy Brew. Quarterstar's nowhere near as good a dungeon as people think it is. Random patrols, sentry mobs that one-shot unless you use Giga pre-wall or CC before you pull. A lot of trash forces you to be slow and creates a lot of downtime. Bosses, also a bit boring, IDK. This,
What did Now say?
it's so good. Yeah, so this ends up sparking some controversy. I think this will be interesting to see because, you know, the Andy Brew's team got the highest times in the proving grounds, right? But they've got to capitalize in the Legion dungeons as well, right? They've got to also put up really good results there, or else they're going to be vulnerable. Even if they work, like if you work really hard to get the 31 Plaguefall and against everybody else who's got a 30 there, but then you know, are a level behind in the Legion dungeons, even if those are like 24s versus 25s or whatever the number ends up being, that's going to be, you know, hugely catastrophic. So,
Is Speed the only one on that team that played?
yeah, that's the thing is that I think
Yeah, it is.
so there it's going to be interesting to see how
Ramfam
much.
on that team. Ramfam is old.
Oh yeah, Ramfam.
So they've got two people who did Legion dungeons and like 3 who didn't. Versus, I mean, I guess most teams have some veterans and some that didn't do it, right? Like, if you look at these, look at the people on all these teams, right? Like JPC he's not even a BFA baby, right? He's a Shadowlands baby.
I thought he played back then. I thought he just went.
Ones he didn't play back then. It was just Now and Gingy that played back then. Zalia was still doing HGC Hearth
Heroes of the Storm
stuff.
Yeah.
Who were
Heroes
they
of the
playing
Storm
with? They were playing with
esports.
what? Imba? Is there healer back then?
It was
Now
Imba,
and-
Frankster, Fragnets. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Imba, Frankster, and Frag. Holy shit, dude!
Dude, the frag lock, dude. Frag
That
on
is a
Warlock
fucking-
back in the day. Holy, I used to. That's like I got into Mythic Plus watching Now and Shakib. Like that's like how I got interested in Mythic Plus.
The Shaq Vengeance Demon Hunter days.
Yeah,
me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just watched
Back in
Now
the
and
day.
Shakib and Revo. Like those are my 3 guys that I was like, dude, Mythic Plus is sick. I love watching these guys.
Yeah, man, I actually really miss the Legion Vengeance Demon Hunter sometimes. I think Shadowlands Vengeance Demon Hunter is maybe better in some ways, but there's just something about the way it used to work in Legion.
Yep, loved it.
Yeah,
I think that parts of Andy's tweet are correct. I think that some of the I think that some of the bosses in particular were really fucking bad, just like with how they would one shot you, and some of the trash mobs in particular, like the Hydra in EOA. Bannable offense. Like that mob should not one tap your tank for no reason. Like that mob is actually just like one taps your tank. Like there's some mobs in particular that I do agree with Andy's general consensus that they are not that great. I think that overall though, just like the design of trash, how a lot of the trash didn't really do very much. You could just pull as big as you want. That was the part for me that felt pretty good.
I forgot about
Yeah.
some of those things in his tweet, like the constructs just turned to instantly one shot you with some magic thing on pull. I can't remember what it was. I think it's like invisible and it's just an instant cast on the tank, but they
yeah.
just,
There's
like,
the throw
out the
torch as
tank.
well. Just like
Oh yeah, throw torch.
bonk.
Oh, as you're walking by the sentries.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah,
There's also like,
the
Legion
Hydras.
dungeons. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just real quick. The Hydras, like these days, I think the Hydras are comparable to things in Shadowlands, like the Risen Warlords, where you can just honestly you can kite them even though they're lieutenant mobs. They're not soloable except for their enrage. You could have
Yeah.
a healer taunt back and forth with the tank. I
like
think
they're
that
gonna
was
kill
really
you if they
experience.
auto you, but unlike in Shadowlands, they're surrounded by 30 crabs that you can just do it while you're AoEing, right? Whereas in Shadowlands, it's like there's 30 mobs that each have fervents and casts you need to kick and stuff. I don't know.
But-
that mob had a tail whip.
True.
Hello?
At the same time, we're also like going to be playing these dungeons without torrent, without like
True.
long sweeps, grip sweep or grip
Without
beam sweep.
Blood
torrent,
DK
torrent,
artifact
torrent,
ability.
torrent.
Group
Yeah,
leech.
exactly.
Yeah.
Without Soul Flame, from like the amount of value you got out of Soul Flame playing Warlock in all these dungeons is like, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see if they swap to more like BFA or not BFA, Legion-esque comps. I don't think that that's going to happen because I don't think either dungeons are like the anti-melee dungeons, right? Like if we were in something like Black Rock Hold or something, and melee were just canceled from existing in some of the trash, like maybe we'd see some different comps. But The 2 dungeons we have, I don't think are really like that. So
I mean, I just don't see a reason that you. Okay, so for me, EOA, you probably play Moonkin. I think it's probably Moonkin, Frostmage, Sub-Rogue, and then Court of Stars. I don't see a reason that it's not also just Windwalker, Frostmage, Sub-Rogue. Like,
what do you think
and
the
those
Moonkin brings? I'm actually interested in this. Do we have time to just talk about like this?
Yeah.
off
Yeah,
EOA?
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So-
this is actually super
So I
interesting.
think-
Send it.
I think Moonkin and Eye of Ashara in particular, like, so the mage is going to be doing the most damage to the crabs, right? So the mage is probably going to be primary crab killer. The Windwalker monk is not actually going to be doing a lot in Eye of Ashara because a lot of these mobs are going to be like hydras or bosses that you like. They're going to be the hydras of the bosses that you need to really focus down. And with the amount of travel time that happens in this dungeon, so you're going to want either priority damage or just like burst single target. And I think that the Moonkin brings a lot. Additionally, like, it may not be Moonkin because I don't know what the dungeon level these people are going to get up to are, but I suspect that last boss, Wrath of Ashara, is still a bad bitch. And you may not even play Moonkin. You may play double mage. It may be like Fire plus Frost. Like there is a world where it's double mage.
See, I think it's Warlock or something like Warrior instead of the Moonkin because that last boss is pure execute.
It's so good for Warrior,
for,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
AF and for Warrior. And what is Moonkin gonna do on Serpentrix, man? You're just gonna insta phase and then do no damage to any of the tentacles? Like you know what I mean? Like you're just
no. Solar Beam silences the ads.
True.
sure, but how are you gonna you're just 4-manning the rest of the fight? Like you're just gonna insta phase with a Moonkin, and then now the rest of the fight you're 4-manning the boss. And
That
it's
fight's
like
free.
not that valuable. Is it free? Is it free?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
That
know.
fight's free. That fight's free. Trust.
I guess we'll see what the key level gets to, but I feel like Moonkin is turbo grief on that boss.
It's always rogue and it's always mage for every dungeon though.
I think that's true.
Yeah, the last boss in Eye of Ashara, you just start sacrificing people to the casts at a high key, right? It's just like, it's immune or dead, right? To those?
Muter, could you bop it?
Yeah,
boppable, right?
yeah, you
Yeah,
could
it
bop
was
it, just
boppable.
fizz, right?
Yeah, and then also the Aftech on a big giant guy with the snail agony funnel.
Oh,
You
true.
just got the snails that don't move. You just have snails in the corner with agonies on them.
Yeah,
do
the
more
snails
boss
that
damage.
move at snail speed.
Yeah.
For the
yeah.
tank. I remember I'd have to keep aggro on those things the whole fight, and every once in a while I'd lose aggro on one snail, and they turn around and just one-shot the healer real quick, and they go back to me.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what happens in those places. It should be a good watch. There's one other thing as well to talk about with this great push, which is the mandatory break rule. I don't know if you've all seen this. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay.
Like water break.
During the 5-hour tournament window each competition day, teams must take a 15-minute break where they do not enter any dungeon. This break can be taken at any point between the 2nd and 4th hour, up to the team captain's discretion. So if it's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., you could take it anytime between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., right? You can't take it in the first hour or the last hour. And you have to let the admins know. And you can also do 2 breaks instead if you'd rather. But if you don't take the break, you lose 5 key levels of point. And so you very, very bad.
Bro, look at JB's
Dude.
comment, dude. Look at JB's comment.
Yeah.
That's a good tweet. Yeah, I wonder if that's from legal reasons they have to do that now.
No, it's not legal reasons. But I mean, we were joking about this. And Dratnos goes, "Is it optional?" And I don't want to leak too much, but Healing Stat goes, "Yeah, if they want, they could lose 5 points." And Dratnos immediately goes, "Okay, so it's not optional." Just 5 dungeon levels, huh?
Yeah, I think it'll
fine.
be interesting as well. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like the teams have to not be talking during those 15 minutes as well. So that I'm sure that, like, you know, one player will go use the bathroom or whatever, get a snack or something, and people will still be, like, talking about routes or something or watching the VOD. But even still, I think adding this sort of thing to encourage not just, like, constant gaming for the whole period. I think it's good to experiment with this in case they, you know, ever want to do, like, a longer day. Maybe expand on force breaks to make a longer day possible, or if they want to just, like, make this format a more frequent thing, which I really like this format, so I would be in favor of that.
Yeah, it gives your healer time to download MDT also,
True.
so they know what the route is.
Jeez. Healers,
So
man.
common.
So I
common.
think it's fine.
One
Yeah,
time,
I mean, we
story time
dealt
real
with
quick.
that in particular, Trail, man.
Undead and I had
Beguiling
a-
season.
Yeah, Dad and I did an MDI together one time years ago. Our healer took a phone call in the middle of an MDI match. That was the level of participation they were in.
It was necrotic also, and like our drop was her ring. Like we were playing Mistweaver's necrotic. Our drop was her ring. It's one of the big pulls in Kragmaw's room in Underrot, and we're all just screaming ring, 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 ring. And then like 10 seconds later, the ring comes. And we find out afterwards she was just muted and deafened because she was on the phone. And by all means, like I loved playing with Edel. I would play with Edel every day of my life for the rest of my life. I loved gaming with her. She just has funny stories like that. So
yeah, Legion MDIs, BFA
those
MDIs,
Legion Resto Druid mains, man. Like there's
Healers,
something.
man.
healers. All right, let's move on to we got a couple Q&A questions to get to.
Oh.
What?
The names are wrong for this week. All
right, well we'll not do it yet then. We can keep talking about this stuff until Tuttles fixes the Patreon names.
You good, bro?
All right, so another thing to talk about with the Great Push is that after day 1, we'll be eliminating a team, and then after day 2, we're eliminating another team, which is different from last time. I wonder how this is going to affect things as well. So the day 1 is just 4 dungeons, right? And then we eliminate one team at the end of it, and then on day 2, we announce a new dungeon. At the end of the day, the lowest ranked team again is eliminated, and so we go from 6 teams, 4 dungeons to 4 teams, 6 dungeons by the time we get to Sunday.
Do they not even know the Saturday, Sunday dungeons until Saturday?
No, those will be announced on those days, yeah.
That's cool. Is that cool? It's cool.
Right?
It's cool because I'm not competing. That's really cool because I'm watching. I don't know how I'd feel about it if I was competing, but I think it's neat to try it like that. It's cool.
It's one of the things as well where it's like, this sounds cool. How does it actually play out? Like, does this actually, you know, is it both fun to watch and fun for the players? Because sometimes you run into things where those two are in conflict, right? Where there's something that's like fun for the viewers and not fun for the players, and to some extent, you know, you take those when the ratio is right. Other times there's just stuff where it like sounds like a good idea, but it's actually just not really fun for anybody, right? It doesn't make the viewing experience or the playing experience better. But I think it's good to experiment with these sorts of rules and see how they work out. In particular, I think just eliminating the lowest ranked team is going to do a really good job of shoring up something that the format was kind of lacking before, which was excitement at the end of day 1 and excitement at the end of day 2.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because we had how many people did anybody who was spectating this have to explain like, no, it's just day 1, like the standings don't matter, like don't like worry about where this team is, it's fine, it's day 1, you know what I mean? And this kind of removes that, so that is good.
Yeah, like making it so it matters at the end of the day. Of course, you're still trying to like the top 2 teams, right, are still going to be jockeying for, like, they're probably not going to be in too much danger. Although, you know, the strategies are going to have to change as well. You're going to have to go do all 4 dungeons on day 1, because if you don't, you're going to have the lowest score. You're going to be eliminated. So you can't just like focus on 2 dungeons on day 1 until you put up times in the other 2 at least. So it might nerf the kind of potential best performance. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see.
We're good.
Oh, that's one more question about this. Maybe you guys know, because somebody asked, you do know what dungeon it is on the second day because of elimination. Do they know what dungeons aren't in? Because there's 2 dungeons that just aren't in at all, right? So it could be any of the possible 4.
It's more than
remaining
2,
after
right?
day
Because
1, right?
there's Shadowlands dungeons are being displaced by Legion dungeons, right? So there's because
there's
those
2 Shadowlands dungeons that are just X'd, right? Like that's it. We know there's 6 total dungeons, or is it 4 Shadowlands dungeons are X'd?
I don't want to leak.
Oh,
I don't know what we know versus what I know, so I
This is the
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
This is the problem that I always have, and this is the answer that I always end up going to. Is
Yeah.
I don't know what is public and what isn't.
certainly that would be an interesting conundrum were it to be the case.
Freaking inside knowledgers.
Yeah.
Well, this is the problem. I mean, the
Talk about it
problem.
next week.
The problem is like I don't know what's public and what isn't. I don't want to say too much because then you like end up risking fucking leaking something that you shouldn't on accident.
Well, we know there's 2 Legion dungeons and there's
That sounds
6
right.
total dungeons.
That
That's
sounds
like
right.
that's all we know.
This sounds correct. Yes.
So okay,
Alright,
if by then, so then there would be 4 Shadowlands dungeons,
Yeah.
which
So
means
there's
there's 4
many
Shadowlands dungeons that wouldn't be in, right? Because there's 8 total Shadowlands dungeons.
Well, I guess I was counting the time trial
True,
ones. As
that's
not
math.
being-
True, there are the time trial ones. Yeah.
But you're only basing that off of past Great Push experience, right? That may be different for this one.
That's true. So yeah, the time trial ones. There's
Yeah,
no rule that
I
says they
guess-
can't be in there again. There's also
I
no
guess I've
rule
been
that says they
surprised
are
from
in
the
there.
beginning, man. I thought Plaguefall was getting yeeted after what happened last Great Push. I thought we were gonna not see Plaguefall at all, and then they just dropped it in the time trials. I was like, all
Well,
right,
they did basically destroy the Plague Borer thing,
yeah,
right?
I just figured they were like, we're not dealing with that dungeon. Like,
Yeah.
screw it. And then they just dropped it in time trials, and I don't know what to think.
Yeah. Well, the mysteries will be revealed soon. In fact, by the
We can
time
talk
this,
more about it next week.
yeah,
Yeah, sure.
by the time this this video comes
We'll tell you
out,
next week what dungeons are in the Great Push. It's fine.
And their affixes.
yeah, they will have affixes. I can confirm this. There will, in fact, be some affixes for each dungeon, including
Plus tormented.
either
Maybe some
tyrannical
overflowing
or
action?
fortified. Ooh, I would love that. Give us the old overflowing, and give us
Those would be
Legion
infernal.
Sanguine. Do you remember Legion Sanguine? It was Sanguine that was a third of the radius of current Sanguine. It took 5 seconds to arm, and it was so great. That was a great affix.
Resetting cheat deaths in the Sanguine. Bring that back. Very good.
Or
Yeah.
BFA Sanguine, where it was a third larger and it lasted a minute.
A minute long, yeah, and so now it's 20 seconds, and it's.
Cringe.
I think it's in a fair place now.
And
I
Toldegor?
think Sanguine's a good place.
The problem with Sanguine is never the affix itself. The affix is normally very easy. The issue with Sanguine is like the dungeon design.
Yeah.
Good take, Tettles. I agree.
Well, it's just like
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
Sanguine
true.
Depths is still a dog shit dungeon on Sanguine, right? Because you're trying to tank the mobs on top of the lanterns to get your lantern buff, and the corridors are tight, and so that's always going to be a hard dungeon for Sanguine, no matter like what you're going to do. Like it doesn't matter what iteration of Sanguine you have, it's still hard.
Yeah.
It's like the same reason it's hard in Toldegor.
True.
Uh,
It's not as bad as Sanguine Toldegor was, though. That Sanguine Toldegor was on another
Okay,
level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's definitely not as hard as that.
All right. With the time bot, we have fixed the Patreon names, and we will now read those
Which may
out.
still be wrong.
Well,
Let's go.
we're gonna try our best. They are Politoad, Breaker of Chains. Congratulations, Riley. Whatever happened to Dratnos' main basement captive? Did Dratnos eat them? Ja, Dratnos' Dino Pillow, Chromed, Trekkie, Tettle's Catfisher, Chewy, Sylvanas, aka Silly Young Lady, vexing Arthas nonstop after Silvermoon. Congratulations, HGC, on getting Cutting Edge. Absolute legends, incredible gamers. It's not AMZ, it's AMZ. Salty Senny, Necrus, and Tankdil. That's two different people that I kind of merged there into one. Nevuk, Brad Ceratops, Sinmora, Eevee, New World main. How's that game? Is that game still going? I've heard New World's been having some like cheating / server balance / server lag / world PvP being kind of scuffed. problems.
I heard this week they just have to delete like part of the US East region. Like something happened and they
Oh, is that the
they lost
AWS?
data. They like lost data and it's just unrecoverable
no.
or something. So like
banger.
people's characters are just gone.
Oh no!
I'm not playing the game, so I don't like know how true this is, but that is what I've heard.
Take Light of the Protector and Frenzied Regen off the GCD. Dude, I think it would be cool if the Legion dungeons you just zoned in and all your abilities were off global again. That would be so cool. No Trick,
Yeah.
I scheduled a Tettle's Flame. Dymat, Lufer, if you don't have Bubble Wand macroed into your abilities, are you even a gamer? Nyx, does the existence of a Night Fae Covenant imply the existence of a Day Fae Covenant? If so, should Day Fae get PI instead of Boomkins? Gallic, Brusif, Dratnos Shrouds Abyss, I vented, time for an emergency meeting. Dude, do you guys want to play Amogus now that there's proximity voice as well? I've been trying to get my guild to do this.
That is actually kind of sus right now.
Dude, there's proximity voice now. It's like Crab Game. Msanity, Xena, Rogue is now good enough for Prague, still bad enough to be sat for SLG, bless up. Red Color, youtube.com/workbringer, KOZ's Mythic Team is trash cans and not trash cans, Alphabet Soup, Druid Friends of Evolved Gaming, #1 Simski for Trelsky, Lurka making me stream our Great Push team, Casual Rats and Butt Pulls, because he plays on a Mac, is a butt pull in itself. How'd that team do? Didn't quite make top 6, but I'm sure had a good time along the way. Got their banners, like me and
Dude,
Tuttles did.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Troll, did you get your banner?
I think I got my banner, yeah.
let's
I don't
go.
know when we receive it, but yeah.
Eventually.
Undadtv, did you get your banner? Did you do at least a 15 Plaguefall?
Yeah, we did. I think we did up to like 22. We
Okay.
pushed up stuff on the first day. Talk about getting people on Tournament Realm, man. Tournament Realm was popping off
Yeah.
because of the banner.
Yeah.
Oribos was full every time I logged on. It was so sick to see.
Yeah.
One time I zoned back into town after 4 manning at 15 because our healer wasn't there, and, and there were just like a million feasts all over the
Yeah.
Oribos mid circle. And this happens every single MDI. Someone discovers, oh, there's unlimited feasts. I could draw something like a dick. Happens every
Dude.
time.
There was a
Dude.
for like all the whole entire time while I was watching Growl, the Incarnation guys, like stuck in Mists of Tyranidscythe prison. There was just a guy always drawing a dick right next to the Dungeon Teleport guy.
Do you remember when they accidentally gave everybody Tournament Realm access for like an hour or two?
Yeah.
And we zoned back into Borealis Harbor, and there was just like thousands of people all in Say chat just been like, where am I? What is this? Like, people just like accidentally logged onto the Tournament Realm and were so confused.
Yeah, they made like everyone's default server the Tournament Realm server, so suddenly
Oh,
there were,
yeah.
like, thousands of level 1 character Tournament Realm
That happens
characters.
when like the other servers are down and like the TR is the only one that's up, right?
Yeah.
I got flamed for not interrupting Undadtv base and comp stomp. Milk, 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 milk. Soji is the #1 little green man on US Thrall. Word around the Mage Tower is Trell has fantastic eyeballs. Sifei, Pone. Windwalker monks deal with nerfs by rolling with the punches. Do you like the second boss of Mist? Well, if you like her, then you mist call her. Get it?
Oh my god.
Mist call her.
So many good ones this week.
Call me, beep me if you want to reach me.
Our first question this week comes from What's His Name in Discord, who asks, so I have a question for Trell. With the upcoming tier sets and double Legos and how underwhelming they are for Brewmasters, what do you think is going to be the prevailing Covenant plus Lego for Brewmaster, and will the tier sets be worth it for both Raid and M+? Worth noting there has been a change already announced for the Brew one, so we could talk about that as well. I'll pull it up while you start answering.
Yeah, the brew set now is insanely good. It's it like fills in all the gaps that Brewmaster had. So you get a lot more max HP all the time from your 4th set. You get a ton more damage on Keg Smash, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then you also get a ton more self healing, which you already had a lot of, but you get even more now, so it's going to be sick. But that makes Kyrian definitely the Covenant you want to do because it's going to buff your Keg Smash even more. And also, you want to use the Kick Smash Lego in addition to that because it's also buffing Kick Smash again. So now everything in your kit, when you press Kick Smash, it just buffs like offensive and defensive powers for your character to the moon with that tier set. It's going to be really good.
Oops. Okay, I found it. Oop, that's not the right one. Okay, I found it. I pressed the right button. Okay. Yeah. So Keg Smash deals an additional 50% damage, heals you for 66% of damage dealt, and grants 66% of damage dealt as maximum health for 10 seconds. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's so good.
It's
And
OP.
that's like the first time that I've seen something incentivize for Brewmaster at least pulling trash on the bosses. So
Yeah, because more
usually-
damage, more health.
Yeah, that'll buff you and a ton more self healing. Like usually your DPS will be like, "Oh, can we pull this pack onto the boss?" And you'll be like, "Oh, I don't know if I can." And now you're like, "Oh hell yeah, I'll pull it. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, this one looks very cool. The man, some of the sets are so good as well. The Vengeance Demon Hunter one is broken beyond literal belief right now. It does like an extra 4,000 DPS, and it makes you immune to death as well.
That's the question. That's the next question, Dratnos.
All right, yeah, so that's
Segue.
the question here from Zion in Discord, who asks, "Can we please leave Vengeance as it is on PTR? It looks like it works as intended." Okay, and there's a streamable here as well. Let me open this up. Okay, yeah. So this is this is a +20 Plaguefall first room solo. It looks like. And yeah, I did this accidentally in raid. We were trying to wipe during raid testing earlier, but there were like 30 mobs on me, and I could not die until I clicked off my Emora. This is
Look at the souls.
yeah,
There's so many souls.
it is very good. And look at the damage it's dealing as well.
He's pressing Spirit Bomb every global, and it's doing like 9 souls every Spirit Bomb.
Yeah, that's crazy.
How do they fix this without like neutering it in a way that feels like, man, I wish you didn't do this? You know what I mean? Like, I think this is like, because I think the set's cool. I think the set's like really cool. It's obviously busted, but I think the way it functions now is really cool. I don't know how maybe they cap how many souls you can spawn or something per
Yeah,
input hit?
maybe it
Something
could
like
instead of being like a 10% chance per target, it could just be like a flat 20% chance regardless of number of targets, just every time it deals damage. I don't know, because yeah, the way it works right now is like if you're an AOE, you're spawning, like if you're an AOE with enough mobs, you just can't die and you do so much damage. The combo with Spirit Bomb as well is especially insane. I wasn't even doing that though, and it was really good. Yeah, I don't think it's making it live like this. It's too much damage, too much healing.
Yeah,
That's-
Yeah, it is clearly way too much. There definitely is a healthy middle ground of making it fun while not
Yeah.
having it be that.
All right, next question from Skiboots, who asks, will Legion dungeons in the Great Push have Infernal? I don't believe it's confirmed, but I do think that they will.
I
think,
assume so, right?
I mean, I believe everybody is assuming they will. So
they wouldn't just like put Tormented in there, and they wouldn't leave it at just like.
yeah, I guess they could
3
put
hours,
no
right?
season, but I would be almost 100% sure that they would put Infernal in there. It would be so weird if they didn't, because that's the whole thing, right? With Time Walking Legion M+, is it always has Infernal, right?
So with the Infernal, can you skip them all and just fight all the Infernals on the last boss? Is that like an
They spawn with the
option?
boss. If you
They spawn
if you
with
pull
the boss you pull them with. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be ways to cheese. We tried a little bit of this on PTR to like cheese not fighting them, right? To like vanish them off and stuff, but we didn't give it really that solid of a try. Especially with the damage taken increase from soaking the circles, though, I don't think it's going to be worth it. But maybe, yeah. I mean, if you can find a way to like meld them off, then that is. I guess it's probably worth. It's probably worth to not have to fight them. But I don't think that's possible. I think they tried pretty hard to make that not possible. We'll see, though. We'll see. We'll see if the teams have figured out a way.
I'm psyched. That Apex owns.
There's always a way, man.
True.
I saw something with a plague boar last year.
Yeah, that's true. Never assume.
Fucking plague boars, man.
All right. I guess that about does it. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Undad. Good luck getting your Resto Druid appearance challenge
Yeah, I
done.
think that's I don't know what I'm trying to like force a boomer schedule, so I think I have to do that tomorrow. I
Oof.
think I have to like
Go to bed. Unlucky.
yeah, something like that.
At least you'll be up for
But
the
yeah.
Great Push tomorrow.
That's true. That is true.
Today, if
Yeah,
you're
thanks for
listening to
having
this
me,
late.
guys. I love coming on this show. I have so much fun.
Shit.
Yeah, thanks,
tomorrow. What time is it?
Thanks for being
What's
here.
our call time tomorrow?
It is
7?
8 a.m. Pacific.
8? Okay.
Yeah. So
Bless.
10 a.m. for you. But the show doesn't start until 2 hours after that. For those of you watching at home, 10 a.m. Pacific. Great Push. Make sure you check it out. Twitch and YouTube as well. So even better.
Yeah, dude, we're back
That's
on
good.
Twitch for Great Push.
Yeah.
People can also co-stream.
Yep. Yep.
People who want to can co-stream their POVs if you want to go watch that. So
Yes. You'll
should
be able to go
be
watch
a
all the
whole big
players.
thing. Yep.
Do people have to ask permission to that, or you just don't care?
I don't know if people who aren't competing can like co-stream and cast it. I don't know the answer to that one, but I do know that the players who are competing can just stream.
That's a
For
DM healing stat question.
Yeah,
You may be
DM
able
healing
to do
stat,
that.
and you might be.
I know that they were wanting to do something like that for previous MDIs at some point, but there's some.
They
I
can't
don't
do it
know
with
what
the YouTube ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because of the
problem.
YouTube deal.
There may be something you may be able to co-stream. I don't really know. That's a DM healing stat question though. If you're looking to try to do that, Dad.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just asking questions because I'm a curious person.
It is.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
I would hope the answer is yes, but I can't give it. Anyways, check out Undad on Twitch, twitch.tv/UndadtV, right? Exactly like we
That's
have
it.
under your name, yeah.
That is it.
And we will be back next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.